You know, one great scholar said about the Nation of Islam, he said he thinks the African Americans have a genetic Islamic memory or Islamic memory bank in them. You know, and I think he's right. We're sitting here at the art studio, ceramic studio of Inner City Muslim Action Network, which is a nonprofit where I'm on the board. I'm the co-chair of the board there. I graduated high school in '65. So the brothers from the Nation of Islam used to sell papers in downtown Detroit. I didn't know what they were. I just know they were really rough on selling those papers. They were aggressive. And they would give me the paper when I would refuse to buy it. And so I was bringing that paper home. I wasn't really honestly reading inside the paper. But what I would do is I would put the paper face down on the coffee table. And interestingly, my mother never moved it. She never asked any questions about it. But what I was always looking at was the back, which had on it, what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. And then when I got to college, I had a more, you might say, open introduction to it, because one brother by himself, and he was from the Nation of Islam, and this is in the late 60s, he was basically, you might say, propagating on that campus by himself. And his character was so disarming in a positive way that there was no way I could not take a paper from Eugene every week. And we continued the conversations that we were having. The reason al-Islam was attractive to me is because I grew up in the church, and I had a lot of questions in the church. I had so many questions when I was in church, it embarrassed my mother. Eventually she told me I didn't even have to come anymore. I knew about Iqbal, Maududi, Ghazali, because I read them from the University of Michigan Library on my own. And I still went into this group that respected my self-worth and that thought that I was worthy of having the message of al-Islam. That was, at that time, it was the Nation of Islam, which, you know, alhamdulillah, evolved into Imam Wardi Muhammad's al-Islamic community. And we decentralized, you know, across the nation. So our presence looks small in your locale. Like if you're in Chicago, our presence looks small. But you got to look at the fact that we are in almost every city that black folks live in. When you come to this country and you enjoy the quote unquote the freedoms and the blessings, etc., that this country offers, and of course there are some that it claims to offer that it doesn't offer to everybody, but it's at the same time it was attractive enough for you to leave where you were and come here. And you come here and you find us in a certain situation. You don't have any reason to thank us for what you're coming to, because you don't know what our contributions to that are. And I think it's irresponsible not to find out what our contributions to this were. We are so foundational to what you're sitting in, what you're coming to, that you're really doing yourself a disservice as a Muslim if you don't understand that at its very core, at its very underpinning, at its very foundations are Africans and Muslims, and many people who were both in their origins. You should know that the first martyr of the Revolutionary War that led to the establishment of America was an African American named Crispus Attucks, the first martyr. Almost the poet laureate of that period of time, the patriotic poet, was Phyllis Wheatley, an African American woman. Even Thomas Jefferson loved her poetry. Washington, D.C. was laid out by an African American man named Benjamin Banneker. But he was a whole lot more than that. And I could go on and on about the things that are so fundamentally that make up what we call America, that African Americans had a major role in, if not a lead role in. We're not just tangentially contributing to America. When we talk about electricity, we talk about refrigeration, these are the things that are foundations of an industrial society. Thomas Edison's light bulb wasn't going anywhere until Lewis Latimer figured out how the filament could stay lit. And I could go on and on. Blood plasma, invented by an African American. These things, it's not that the number of them, it's to how foundational they are to what we call America. And I'll close with this. We are the people who have most pushed America to live up to its ideals of freedom and equality. Even before the Declaration of Independence, Africans were posting similar declarations on doors themselves. So come with an understanding of who we are. Don't think that we're just marginal. because we're not.